Hello and welcome back to Wyvern-Hearted Ink and Friends. Today I'm going to be discussing one of the most hated art styles, especially as of late, and attempting to create some of my own characters in this style. Most hated styles come about because they're too simple, they're too easy, people really hate on certain stylistics. But especially on TikTok, I don't know why, but it's become this place where everyone just hates certain art styles without much reason. But we're gonna get into the reason why people hate jelly art style in general in just a little bit. The jelly art style is traditionally seen as this very bubbly, juicy sort of stylistics with cute anime-ish girls, specifically in a very rendered style, so they look more realistic than anime, but they fall somewhere in that uncanny valley area. And that's generally why I've heard a lot of people hate it, is because it's too squishy, it's too soft, it's too uncanny valley in certain aspects. Now, the hate does go beyond stylistics, especially because of the thoughts of this particular creator and artist. I'm not going to get into whether or not they're problematic or whatever. I am simply going to try and create my own characters in this style because it is so hated and because I'm curious, because I don't think it's necessarily a bad style. I think, I understand why people are thrown off by it, but as someone who really enjoys super stylized art, I don't mind it. I do wish to learn something about the sparkliness of it, but I wouldn't create this art myself normally, because doing portrait pretty girl stuff, while it is popular, is just, it doesn't evoke anything for me personally, so it's not something I'm after. So after finding some references that I really enjoyed and looking into the ways that people create this jelly art style, I decided to give it a go in 3 attempts with my own characters. I won't say that any of them necessarily came out looking like jelly art, but I think they fall somewhere in the spectrum. Just for a little reference, I'm going to show you guys pieces that I've done of these characters before I attempt to do the jelly art version of them. So the first character I attempted to do in the jelly art style is Ilsiet. And mind you, while I was drawing this jelly art piece, my power went out in the middle of me doing it. I was out of power for 12 hours and then I came back to it and finished it. So I have no clue how long that first piece took me. And I definitely feel like at the end of it, I kind of was so just ready to be done with it that I just got it over with, honestly. But this is one of the comic pages with Ilsiet in it that I did not too long ago. And this is the contortionist comic that I made of her on paper. The reference that I used for this one was not specifically in the jelly art style, so I think that may have hurt me here in creating this piece, but I definitely feel like it's the most polished out of the bunch that I did. I got very frustrated and ended up redoing the eyes. I just didn't feel like they were big enough. I still don't feel like it quite evokes jelly because of the eyes, but I'm not sure how to effectively change that. The next piece I did is of Azrulia, and I don't really have a lot of good reference photos of how I normally draw her. at least not on hand, because I've mainly just drawn her in my comic. I haven't really drawn her outside of it, so I didn't have a very good example piece of her. But basically, she's slightly draconic, slightly harpy little girl with long orange braids, bright blue eyes, bright blue horns. She's a real cutie pie, so I wanted to put her in the jelly art style to kind of lean further into that cuteness, and I used the Sailor Moon jelly art piece as reference for this one. I think this one definitely turned out more jelly-ish, but I don't like how the final version turned out. I'm not sure what it is about it, but there's something that just feels wrong. And I think it has to do with my line work. Line work is a big part of my art style specifically, so I think maybe taking away too much of it or putting too much of it in kind of ruins the jelly-ishness of it. I just couldn't quite find the balance there. I also realized shortly after creating this piece that a lot of the jelly art pieces that I was looking at were very pastel, and didn't really have a lot of harsh contrasting colors, and that's like one of the main tropes about this character's design. So I think that may have held me back from making it feel more jelly art like. Finally, we have Ilivivia, or Viv, and she is Ilsiet's mother in my comic. She's a little bit older, and it shows more on her face than it does on Ilsiet. Ilivivia is in her late 30s, she's human, and she's been through a lot. She's gotten scars, and she has a lot of trauma, so I wanted to put the jelly art style on a character that was a bit rough around the edges and see how that worked together. I think, unfortunately, because of the way that the jelly art style works, I made her look a lot softer than she probably does. And I made her eyes so big that she looks very childish. So I'm not sure that it came across that her character has been through a lot and like is rough around the edges, or if she just looks, I don't know, it's like something else, I guess. She kind of looks like she's made out of Play-Doh to me, which I think is the uncanny valley-ness that people have discussed, and I really dislike how her nose came out. But outside of that, I feel like my attempt in making it look like the jelly art style is not bad. It's probably the best that I've done out of the three. I still didn't end up liking the final version, but I definitely made several attempts to try and create something that I think most people would consider in the jelly art style. Now that we have our three creations, let me know which one you think I did the best on, let me know which one was your favorite, and whether or not you like the jelly art style, whether you understand the hype behind it or the hate. And I'll see you next time.